cloud. It's arguably the most successful marketing term of the 21st century.
Absolutely.
It sounds so clean, right? So ethereal, like this digital heaven where all our data just floats around, totally safe.
It's brilliant branding, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think we're here to kind of pop that balloon today. Because as any grumpy IT person will tell you, there is no cloud.
Right, there's only someone else's computer.
Exactly. And that's the reality check we're starting with today. We're doing a deep dive into the real plumbing of the internet.
And we're looking at a really fascinating set of data that's all centered around JTC, a managed service provider in Virginia.
And the central tension in all this material, it's huge. It's really a battle of philosophies.
On one side, you've got the big guys, the public clouds. We're talking Microsoft, AWS, Rackspace, the giants.
The giants that basically run the world. And on the other side, you have the private cloud, the local approach.
The argument that maybe, just maybe, the smartest move is to keep your data close enough that you can literally drive to it.
So that's the mission, to unpack the trade-offs.
Yeah. Is it better to be a tiny fish in that massive global ocean, like AWS, or the big fish in a private local pond?
And we're going to look at some case studies, some pretty scary security stats, and a feature they call SneakerNet.
Which sounds like a joke, but it might actually be the thing that saves your business.
It's going to be an interesting ride. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start by defining the battlefield here. Most of us, when we think of business hosting, we just default to the big names.
Right.
If I start a company tomorrow, I'm probably going to AWS or Azure. It's just the default.
It is. And that's the public cloud model. In the source material, JTC really lays out the landscape here. You're subscribing to a massive infrastructure.
And the biggest pro, and it is a big one, is scale.
For sure. It's generally cost-effective. And you can grow on the fly. You need a terabyte today, 10 terabytes tomorrow.
Click a button, pay a little more, and it's yours.
Awesome.
And there's always a but in these deep dives.
The source really hammers on the cons, and they focus on two things: intimacy and control. The first issue is location.
Okay.
When you put your data in a public cloud, where is that hardware physically sitting?
I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Does it actually matter? If I can get my file, who cares if the server is in Seattle or, I don't know, Timbuktu?
Well, according to the source, it matters a lot when things break, and it matters for jurisdiction. But just on the physical side, that rack could be in California. It could be in Ireland.
The Philippines, maybe? You don't really know.
You don't know. You're just renting a slice of a massive server farm somewhere.
Okay, so I don't have the zip code of my server. Why should I be losing sleep over that?
Because of the support argument.
Yep.
JTC makes this case that in a public cloud, you're just a number. You are one of millions of customers.
Right.
So if you lose your data or you have a crisis, the person you're calling for help might be overseas. They're likely just reading from a script.
So my business-ending crisis is just their ticket number 4592.
Exactly. There's no urgency because there's no relationship. You're not calling a person. You're calling a system. But there's a darker angle here, too.
The geopolitical security angle. This part of the research really stood out to me. The source explicitly brings up the threat of foreign adversaries. And they specifically named China in this context.
It's what they call the game hunting logic. If you are a state actor or a huge hacking collective and you want to cause the most disruption possible, where do you look?
You go where the most data is.
You go hunting for the big guys.
Yeah.
Microsoft, AWS. They're the biggest targets. They have massive bullseyes on their backs.
So the argument for the private cloud model, at least how JTC frames it, is about what? Security through obscurity.
To some degree, yeah. It's about reducing your profile.
So let's pivot to that, the private cloud alternative. How does JTC do it differently? Are they just reselling Amazon space?
No. And that's a crucial distinction. They own and operate their own hardware.
Their own
They're on their 5th generation of hardware investment right now. They partner with a company, LeaseWeb, for the physical data center space. So the secure building, the power, the cooling, but the machines, the servers, that's all JTC.
So they know exactly where it is.
Down to the specific rack in Manassas, Virginia.
Okay, but again, I want to push on this. Knowing where your server is, it feels nice, warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
But does it actually offer a functional advantage?
And that brings us to what I think is the wildest detail in this entire deep dive. It bridges that exact gap between psychological comfort and actual disaster recovery.
You're talking about the SneakerNet.
I am. The source poses this hypothetical that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. What if the internet itself goes offline?
Not just my Wi-Fi, but the backbone.
The whole thing, the .coms and .nets just get taken down.
A few years ago, I would have laughed that off. But we've seen massive outages. Undersea cables get cut. It's not impossible.
And if that happens and you're on AWS, you're cut off, period. Your business is just dead in the water until it comes back.
You can't get to your data in the Philippines or California.
But because JTC is local, they have this sneaker net solution.
Meaning, they literally use their sneakers.
Literally. The source describes a scenario where JTC staff can physically enter the data center.
Right?
Because they own the box, they can plug in a local drive, they can copy a client-specific data onto a physical medium. We're talking a CD-ROM or a USB drive.
A CD-ROM? I haven't seen one of those in a decade. That is a blast from the past.
It's high-tech meets very low-tech. But think about the utility of it. They copy your critical data.
Yeah.
Your billing, your contracts. They walk out, get in a car.
And they hand deliver it to your office.
They hand deliver it.
That's wild. It's the ultimate fail-safe. It's knowing that even if the digital world goes dark, your data is close enough for someone to physically hand it to you.
It kind of redefines bandwidth, doesn't it? The bandwidth of a station wagon full of hard drives is actually incredibly high.
That's true. Never underestimate the transfer speed of a Toyota Camry in a crisis. But let's move from that hypothetical doomsday to a real-world crisis. The source details a financial case study that is just. The timing is perfect.
You're talking about Sequoia Management.
Yes, and the owner, Chet Honey. The story starts in 2019.
Which, knowing what we know now, is a very specific, almost ominous moment in history.
Right before the world changed. So, set the scene. It's 2019, Sequoia Management needs a new server, their old one's dying, and they're at a crossroads.
Two options. Option A is the traditional route. You buy a new server, you keep it on-premise in your office.
Build a little closet for it, keep it cool, lock the door.
Yep. The source puts the price tag at about $30,000 for the capital investment, plus all the ongoing maintenance.
And that's a huge check to write. That's capital expenditure.
Exactly. It's like buying a car with cash. You own it, but you also own the depreciation, the repairs, all of it.
It hits the balance sheet hard.
All at once. So that's option A.
And option B?
Option B was to move to JTC's private cloud. So no massive upfront check, just a monthly operating fee.
Like leasing the car instead of buying it.
Right. It smooths out your cash flow. So Chet decides to go with option B. He moves Sequoia to the private cloud, and then
2020 hits. COVID-19 arrives.
And the world shuts down.
And this is where that pandemic-proof aspect really kicks in. I mean, imagine if he had taken option A. He spends 30 grand on a server that's now sitting in an office that nobody's allowed to go into.
It's a nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
You're scrambling to figure out VPNs, security tunnels. It's a mess.
But because Sequoia's entire desktop environment was already living in that private cloud, sending employees home wasn't a crisis. It was, and the source says this, a one-click solution.
The source quotes Chet saying they didn't miss a beat. And that's the dream for any business owner, right?
Totally.
The employees went home, some to Florida, some to Hilton Head, one to Asheville, and they just logged in. And here's the crucial part. They didn't have to learn a new system. They saw the exact same desktop they had at the office.
So no learning curve. No, how do I VPN into the thing to get the file?
None of that. It mentions a specific employee, Kathy. She's working from the coast. Her colleagues are scattered, but their digital workspace is unified and secure in that Virginia cloud. It really shows how the definition of local has changed.
Yeah, the hosting is local, but the team can be anywhere.
Exactly.
But this brings up the other side of the remote work coin, and I think every listener knows where I'm going.
Oh, yeah.
When you have people working from everywhere on home Wi-Fi, opening emails, you create a massive vulnerability.
Ransomware. Yeah. The boogeyman of the modern business world.
The source cites this stat from the Gartner Group that is just terrifying. It claims that 80% of businesses that lose their data fail within a few years.
Well, it makes sense if you think about it. If you lose your billing records, your customer lists, your history, you don't have a business anymore.
You just have a lease and some chairs.
Right. And the source shares an anecdote about an ophthalmologist, not a JTC client, we should be clear, who got hacked.
They locked his server, demanded money. He couldn't see patients for a week.
And he fell a month behind on billing. I mean, that's a catastrophic cash flow interruption for any medical practice.
So how does this private cloud model fight back? Because we know the entry point is almost always the human. It's someone clicking a link they shouldn't.
It's almost always email. Here is the invoice you requested. Click, and you're done. So JTC uses a mix of training and tools. They do phishing simulations, fake bad emails to test employees.
Right.
But the tool that really stood out to me was this red light, green light system.
Okay, explain that. How's it different from a normal spam filter?
So say a user gets a suspicious email, a wire transfer request that looks a little off, they can send it to be checked. Within minutes, the system analyzes it. If it's safe, green light.
But if it's malicious, red light.
Red light. And here's the genius part you picked up on. It's not just for that one person.
It's a collective defense.
Exactly. If it gets a red light, the system automatically yanks that email from everyone else's inbox in the entire company.
That is huge because the bad guys always blast the whole company at once.
Right. So if Sally in accounting spots it and flags it, it vanishes from Bob in sales inbox before he even gets a chance to see it. It's herd immunity, but automated.
But, no defense is perfect. Someone might still click. And that's where the recovery strategy comes in. And I want you to explain this term from the source, air-gapped backups.
This is so vital. Air-gapped basically means detached.
Okay.
Think of it like a drawbridge on a castle. Most backups are connected to the server all the time.
So if the server gets infected with ransomware?
The virus just crawls right down the line, across the bridge, and infects the backup too. And then you're locked out of everything.
Which defeats the whole purpose of having a backup in the first place.
Precisely. An air-gapped backup pulls the drawbridge up. It's not connected to the network when it's not actively backing up. The virus can't cross that moat.
And there was a real-world example of this.
Yeah, a client who got hit with ransomware in the morning. Total lockdown. But because of these detached backups, they were wiped, restored, and back up and running by the afternoon.
That's the difference between a business-ending event and just a really bad Tuesday.
It turns a catastrophe into a minor annoyance. And that ties into another concept they mentioned, hardware as a service.
Right. HOS. Which sounds like just another tech acronym, but it's a pretty simple financial model.
It's that leasing model, but for your actual desktop computers. Instead of spending, say, $1,000 up front for a new Dell for every employee.
You just pay a monthly fee.
And the promise is break fix. It breaks, they fix it, or they replace it. No arguments, no surprise costs.
It shifts IT from a capital expense to an operating expense, and it ensures everyone has the same machine, same security.
Right, standardization.
Yeah.
But all of this, the backups, the hardware, the security, it requires a plan.
And the source makes a point that I think listeners really need to hear. It's not just about having a backup, it's about the frequency.
Yes. This is such a crucial nuance.
Yeah.
If you're a financial firm doing stock trades and you only back up once a night, you're so vulnerable.
If you crash at 4 p.m., you've lost the entire day's trades. That could be millions.
You might need hourly backups, whereas a standard office might be totally fine with nightly. One size does not fit all.
And the best part of this section, you have to bring this up, is the Jaden Factor.
I love the Jaden Factor. It sounds like a superhero's secret weapon.
It really does.
We talk so much about automation and AI, but JTC highlights a specific technician, a guy named Jaden. He sits in the Network Operations Center, and his job...
He manually checks the backups.
Every single day. He looks at the list to make sure they actually happened.
There is something so incredibly reassuring about that. It's not just some script running in the background that might fail silently.
Jaden is looking at it with human eyeballs. It's that human-in-the-loop concept brought back to IT. Sometimes scripts lie. Sometimes they report success when the file is totally empty. Jaden doesn't make that mistake.
It's that theme of intimacy again. It's high touch. In fact, it's so high touch that the source mentions something kind of controversial.
The JTC will actually fire clients.
Yeah, who don't play ball.
It was a surprising admission. Usually you hear, the customer is always right. But the source explicitly says that if they advise a client to follow security protocols like use multi-factor authentication, and the client refuses...
JTC will let them go. It's not you, it's us. Or actually, it's definitely you.
It's definitely you. But it makes sense, right? If that client gets hacked because they were negligent, it reflects poorly on the provider.
It shows a level of discipline you just don't see when you're a credit card number on a public cloud account. Amazon isn't going to call you and say, hey, your password is weak, fix it, or we're dumping you.
They'll just take your money and let you get hacked. This implies a real partnership, where your risk is also their risk.
So let's bring this all together. We started with the idea that the cloud is just someone else's computer.
And we've seen you have a very real choice in whose computer that is. You can choose the massive global computer of the public cloud. It's cheap, it's scalable.
But you're anonymous, and your support is a world away.
Or you can choose this private cloud model, The computer is in Virginia. You know the people managing it.
And you get these specific, localized contingencies, the hand-delivered data, the Jaden Factor, the red light email protection.
It really challenges that default assumption that bigger is better in tech. Sometimes closer is better.
I think the so what here is about the value of accountability. In a world that's getting more and more faceless, there's a premium on knowing exactly where your data lives and who's watching it.
It's the difference between calling a toll-free number and calling a guy named John who knows your server's set up by heart.
And for businesses like Sequoia Management, that relationship was the difference between panic and business as usual during a global pandemic.
Precisely. It turns out the best disaster recovery plan might just be a good relationship.
So here's the thought I want to leave you with today. We spend all our time worrying about digital security. We worry about firewalls, encryption, complex passwords.
All vital things.
Absolutely. But in a true worst-case scenario, when the screen goes black, when the internet hum just stops, is the ultimate backup, actually. Physical proximity.
Can you drive to your data?
That's the question. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Stay secure, everyone.